Today's lesson is on dividing fractions, and you'll see that dividing fractions, we still need to know our concepts for multiplying fractions. So the rules here for dividing fractions, the first rule is if you have any mixed fractions, you're going to convert them into improper fractions. The second rule is we are going to write the reciprocal or the multiplicative inverse of the divisor. That basically means we're going to flip the divisor or our second fraction. After you've done the flipping, then we just proceed as a multiplication question. So let's do some practice of writing reciprocals. So first one here is done for us. We have 3 over 4. The reciprocal of that would be 4 over 3. All right, another example would be if I had 3 over 7, its reciprocal would be 7 over 3. All right, so all I'm doing is flipping the second fraction. I'm taking its reciprocal. All right, if we had a whole number, for example, if we had the whole number 4, remember that a whole number is technically over 1, so therefore its reciprocal would be 1 over 4. All right, so taking the reciprocal of the second fraction, it means we are going to flip the second fraction. And then once you've done that, we're going to proceed as a multiplication question. Let's take a look at our first example here. We have 4 over 9 being divided by 10 over 12. So they're already written. There's no mixed fractions here. So we can go ahead and flip our second fraction, and it becomes multiplication, and we have 12 over 10. All right, so go back to our rules. We didn't have to do rule number 1. Our second rule was write the reciprocal of the divisor, which is flipping the second fraction, and then we're going to proceed as a multiplication question. All right, so we flipped it, and now we're going to multiply. So here, if you want to multiply across, if you just want to multiply your numerators, 4 times 12, that gives me 48. 9 times 10, that gives me 90. Okay, you can go ahead and reduce now. Both top and bottom can be divided by 6 to reduce this to give me 8 over 15. All right, or the other method I've shown you is where you can reduce before. So we have 4 over 9 times 12 over 10. We can reduce diagonally. 9 and 12 can both be divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. And we can also reduce the 4 and 10. 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So our new fractions are 2 over 3 and 4 over 5. So we would just multiply the 2 times 4, which is 8. 3 times 5, which gives me 15. Either way, we get the same answer of 8 over 15. Okay, let's try our next one. Example number 2, division again. We are going to write our first fraction as is. We're going to flip the second one. So that becomes 4 over 3. And then we proceed as multiplication. All right, so again, the two methods, you can just multiply your numerators together. 5 times 4, which is 20. 8 times 3, which is 24. And then we would reduce. We could reduce by dividing by 4, top and bottom. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So our reduced answer would be 5 over 6. All right. But like always with multiplication, you can check to see if you can reduce beforehand. 5 and 3 we cannot reduce, but the 8 and 4, they can be reduced. Divide by 4, that gives me 1 there. 8 divided by 4, that gives me 2 there. All right, so 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6. So either way, we get the same answer. Okay, so when we have mixed fractions, our first rule states, put it into improper fractions. All right, so quick review for changing this. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 1 is 10, and our numerator stays as 3. The denominator stays as 3. And then our second fraction, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 gives me 12, and then our denominator is still 5. All right, now we would go ahead and flip our second fraction. So 10 over 3 stays the same. 12 over 5 gets flipped to 5 over 12. And now we multiply. All right, so again, you can just multiply your numerators together. 10 times 5 is 50. 3 times 12 is 36. And then you would reduce. You can reduce the top and bottom by dividing by 2. That gives me 25 over 18. It is written improper, so you can change this now to a mixed fraction. 18 can go into 25 one time. We keep our denominator as 18, and then we have a 7 there for our numerator to give us 25. So that's our answer, but let's just do it where we reduced before as well. Right, 3 and 5 we cannot reduce. The 10 and 12 we can reduce. We'll divide by 2. This will give me 5. Divide by 2, this gives me 6. Right, so 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 6 is 18. So we do have the same answer, and then we just have to put it into mixed, which is 1 and 7/18. Right, so our next example is here. Our first step is we're going to put them into improper fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 gives me 8 over 3. And it's being divided by this mixed fraction. So we'll change this one to improper as well. So 1 times 9 is 9, plus 5 is 14 over 9. So that is what the two fractions should look like, written as improper. So now you can go ahead and take the reciprocal of the second fraction and multiply. All right, so from here, our next step is we're going to rewrite our first fraction. The second fraction, we have to flip it, so it becomes 9 over 14. All right, and then we would multiply. All right, so let's just go ahead and let's just multiply the numerators together. So 8 times 9 is 72. 3 times 14 is 42. All right, and then from here, we would have to reduce. So both 72 and 42 are divisible by 6. Divisible by 6. So our answer is 12 over 7. And then this is an improper fraction, so we just have to write this as a mixed fraction. So 7 can go into 12 one time, and 1 times 7 is 7, so we need 5 more. So our final answer there is 1 5/7. All right, so our first question, we had 1 over 2 being divided by 7 over 10. So we keep our first fraction the same. Our second fraction gets flipped to 10 over 7, and then we just multiply. All right, so if you just multiply the numerators, we get 10. Multiply the denominators, we get 14. And then you can just reduce and just divide by 2. So we get 5 over 7 as the final answer for the first question. The second question, we have 1 over 10 divided by 6. So just keep in mind, any whole number is always over 1. So I've just rewritten it here as 6 over 1. So now we can go ahead and flip our second fraction. So it becomes 1 over 6, and then we're just multiplying both of them. 1 times 1 is just 1, and then 10 times 6 is 60. So our answer is 1 over 60. And our last one, so again, our first fraction stays the same, 1 over 3. Our second fraction gets flipped, becomes 3 over 1, and then we're multiplying. That becomes 3 over 3, which is just equal to 1.